back to the channel. Appreciate the support. So no fancy emails or no fancy editing or anything like that. I was just reading an email right here, and I was going to answer this email. And then actually, I want to apologize because it took me forever to be able to answer this. And the reality is that we've been busy here in the channel, but I wanted to answer this email, and then I started to think I'm sure somebody have the same question, right? Someone have to have the same question, and essentially, what this supporter here of the channel is asking has to do with her son joining the Marine Corps. And obviously, one of the things that they are asking him, or the recruiter is saying, is that he has to have a driver's license to qualify for a specific occupation. So, is that really true? Is that really something that happened? Well, I guess I'm going to talk about it in the Marine Corps side. Some of you guys have been in different services. Put comments down below. But as far as I know, yes. As far as I know, you have to have a driver's license to be, uh, I guess, qualify in a way to do a specific occupations. The same thing has to do with, some of the guys that don't have are not American citizen. If you have a green card, you cannot do a specific jobs because it requires you to have a secret clearance, and you have to be an American citizen to have that secret clearance. So again, not now that this is the topic, but just to give an example, you do have to have a driver's license for some jobs. I was a military policeman, so if you didn't have a driver's license, you weren't allowed to drive a patrol car. If you cannot drive a patrol car, you cannot work as a police officer. So again, so that totally makes sense. If that's what the recruiter is telling you, that totally makes sense. I'm sure if you are uh motor transportation or something like that, it totally makes sense too. And it's going to be one of those things that is probably going to affect them, because no matter what job you get, a lot of the jobs in the military, you have to do training. So I'm going to give you an example. If you are a communication guy, right? You join the Marine Corps, you're going to be a communication guy. Well, guess what? You're going to have a license to drive a military vehicle, because when you go into the training exercises, when you go into the field, even when you go into country, meaning like into Afghanistan, you have to have that military license to be able to drive that military vehicle. Well, probably, and again, I don't know what the Marine Corps order is, or what it is, all the background that happens with that. But in order for you to get that military license to drive that military vehicle, you have to have a regular driver's license. If your license gets suspended, you can't have that. I don't know if that changed or not. That's how it used to be when I was in the Marine Corps. Now, obviously, one of the concerns here is that your insurance. One of the concerns why it's a big deal is because this supporter insurance will go up. So obviously, the moment that your kid gets a license, guys, 18 years old, you know what's gonna happen to your insurance. We kind of all go through that, right? I remember when I got married with Stacy, because I'm older than her, our insurance went up, and it went up a big time, and it was kind of like, let's get married, and then the next day is like, psh. So it's kind of depressing when it comes to that, but that's just part of the system. I mean, that's just something that constantly happen, that it shouldn't be that way, but it does happen. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, to answer this question, it is. I wasn't even aware that you could join the military without a license. But if he doesn't have a license, there's going to be some occupations that most likely he's not going to be able to do. Now, to answer another questions here, uh, give me a quick 1 second. I'm not editing this video at all. Okay, so can you find God in the Marines? So this is such a interesting topic. This is really interesting topic here, and essentially the question is, you know, my child needs to have military. The military is really strict, so obviously the military is going to teach some kids how to behave better. I mean, that's just how it is. When I joined the military, I was out there. I was doing things that I shouldn't been doing, and the military locks you on. So the military doesn't take anything, any, any, how can I put it? The military don't take your stuff. The military doesn't. The military tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and how hard to do it, and that's just how it is. So a lot of kids that come with that mentality, I'm gonna do whatever I want in the military because I did whatever I want in my house. They're gonna have a really they're gonna face reality. So the military is good when it comes to that, to answer that question. The military is gonna teach him principles. Is gonna teach him a lot of things that I really think a lot of young kids need nowadays. And obviously, if they don't do it, they're gonna get into trouble. Excuse me, and it's not gonna be good. Now, with that said, one of the things here in the email says, I hope he will find God in the Marines. And this is sad in a way because I was not a believer in the military. I was not, and I kind of came into the end of that. So I remember one time I was stationed in North Carolina, and I was a staff sergeant in the Marines, right? And some guy says, "Hey, you know what? I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ." And I said to him, "Me too." And he replied to me like saying, "Really?" And he gave me that face, and to me that was really impacting, because to me that was like I wasn't showing the example. I wasn't showing the love of God. I wasn't showing that if you believe in Christ and you love God, and you want to be like Christ, people will see it in you, because the fruit of the Spirit, people will see it is joy. So people will see Christ in you. And to me, that was really impacting. And that was one of the moments in my life where I was like, I got to make some changes. And I started to make change. And you know what? Nowadays it's totally different. Obviously, that we're talking about 4 years ago. Nowadays, I strive to do that. What would Christ do? So I strive to do that. But the reality is that God is not really that present in the Marines that I saw. My experiences, uh, I didn't see God too much in the Marine Corps. Now I did see a lot of kids that will pray, a lot of guys that will pray before you eat, you pray, a lot of guys that pray to God, a lot of guys that said that they were believers. But to me, no one really ever really talked to me about God. And so that tells me that the presence, it wasn't out there as much as I would like to. So I mean, it's kind of hard to say this, and I'm trying to kind of be kind of encourage you, or kind of like think really hard on what I'm going to say next, because this is something that you guys are this is specifically subscriber is taking in consideration. So I'm trying to be really thinking about what I say. But the reality was that I barely saw God in the military. So will he find God in the military? Well, that's something that we gotta pray for. That truly is, because I did experience some Marines that believe in Christ. And I remember back in 2010 in Afghanistan, I talked to a master guns, the highest rank in the Marine Corps, in the listed one of the highest rank in the enlisted rank, and he was a believer. And to me, it was really impacting to see that. But I really didn't see too many people that believe in God as strong as I do nowadays. I mean, if I could go back in the Marine Corps, I'll be preaching the gospel every day. I'll be like, oh, kind of like I do here sometimes. So, will he find God in the Marines? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to lie or tell you something that I don't know. But I tell you what, we need to pray for him. And we need to continue to pray that God put someone in his life that will change his life and will lead him to Christ. So again, I in this point, I don't think the prayer. I know I'm ranting a little bit. I don't think the prayer is gonna be like, hey, you know what? Would the Marines find God for him? No, we need to pray that someone, if he joins in the Marine, or someone in school, Marine, your neighbor, whoever, someone gets put in his place that is gonna lead him into meeting Christ. So again. uh, Again, you know what? I think the Marine Corps. I mean, I love being a Marine. I really did. I love what I did. I think the Marine changed my life. I think the Marines told me a lot of things. You know, I was able to get my bachelor's degree in the Marine Corps. I became a man there. You know, I was able to learn how to make decision. I know that I'm responsible. I know that I take care of my family. I know the principles that I have. I know they are based from being in the Marines, and now they're based because I follow Christ. But I know the Marine Corps told me a lot of discipline. And now that I'm, following Christ, it's just amazing. So would the Marine Corps fix him? I think the Marine Corps is going to show him a lot of things, and it's going to teach him how to be a man. But ultimately, it's gonna be to him. It's gonna be him if he wants to take it or not. I mean, I met good Marines that got in a lot of trouble and they were kicked out of the Marine Corps because they couldn't do what they were supposed to do. So it is a really hard question to answer. I'm sorry that I ran for a little bit. It is a really hard question to answer. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Let me know in the comment section or send me an email and let me know. I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying for your family. But overall, yes, you got to have a driver's license to do a specific jobs. And again, I appreciate the support. And as always, guys, God is in control.